Alright, all you music makers, video game players, entertainers, listeners of the madness, streetlight crusaders, and especially you telemarketers who can't call in cause this show's taking place just mere minutes before midnight, like a, Iron Maiden song? Yeah, like an Iron Maiden song. Welcome to yet another month-ending edition of A Work in Progress. I am your host from the East Coast, as always, DJ Smokey, flanked by the maestro once again on these wee late hours, which we always appreciate. And ladies and gentlemen, the reason why this show is a little bit later than usual is because this past weekend, we went to the Fall Festival on the Green. And this one was special for a multitude of reasons, not only because it was the 25th anniversary of the said festival that took place this past weekend, but also because of the news we got about a couple of years back, but now it's starting to hit the light of day, is the fact that they're going to be working on a project called, I do believe, M Station, which they're calling Project M, which reminds me of, emulator that they would have for the N64, something along those lines, that they're going to be working on in town, that will be a 1,000 space garage, a public plaza, and a roundabout that will actually be a part of town for Mars and Spring Street intersection to cut peak traffic congestion in half. And from a person who drove those very roads every single day, a roundabout is the last thing we need around that part of town. But then again, I could be wrong. I don't know. But all I know is this, the fact that they're displacing well over 11, and I kid you not when I say this, folks, 11 places that are in this strip mall, which includes the following: Cluck You Chicken, Burger King, Macho Nacho, Green Life Market, Morris Pizzeria, I almost said Pizzeria because they put an L there instead of an I, Molinar Pharmacy, Marstown Wine Merchant, Panera Bread, who hasn't been there long enough for a hiccup, 7-Eleven, and on the opposite side of the corner of Mars and Forest, from Mars Street and Spring Street is going to be Fatty's, which is another one of those places that hasn't been there long enough to be a hiccup in this case. Which means just about, under 5 years that place has been there, and they're already going to tear it down for, a roundabout in a giant oversized plaza? Now, granted, I know they're trying to redevelop Marstown to look like mini Hoboken, but at the same time, come on, really? All these places that have been here for the longest amount of time, now you want to tear them down to make a giant oversized England roundabout to try to cut down traffic times that I got a feeling is going to cause more accidents than most. But I could be wrong. But that's just my opinion on the matter. Let's go back to the happier parts of this weekend, which is the Fall Festival on the Green, which featured well over, and according to what the website said, well over 60,000 people in attendance for this festival on the Green. And the sad part about it is, when I went up there, because I've been going every single year for the past 25 years this thing's been going on, unfortunately, once again, I did not see Marstown High School, Frelinghuysen Middle School, Hillcrest, or even WJSV, who usually goes up there every year to broadcast live from the Marstown Green. But the only radio presence I do believe that was up there for a minute was WDHA, that was reporting from the Marstown Green, and it makes me wonder, with only WDHA representing on the radio front, there should be another DJ-like presence who should have been up there with his equipment, Dan the Weatherman Stu, the maestro, and any other crazy thing he could think of, wearing one of those checkered suits like if I was in one of those 1980/1970 game shows with a giant sign that said Indie Radio Arcade above it to actually host some fun and games while doing a regular episode of the show for you fans to hear. But who could have done such a thing if he put his mind to it? Why are you staring at me, Maestro? Oh, that's why. Every single year, folks, we go up to the Fall Festival on the Green and we see all these great acts, Diamonds in the Rough, and everybody else who was around, and say that one day we hope to be a part of this big, giant, oversized event. And every single year when it comes around, something happens. Like, for example, either we have to take somebody to their jobs, or the unfortunate part of it all of a local sickness that went around called the flu. I.e. my dad, who got sick and got it to everybody else, including me, who's been drinking orange juice, water, and trying to get rid of this thing before next week's show of shows, because I'm telling you folks, for any of you horror movie fans out there, or fans of horror in general, things are going to get weird, violent, and scary over the next couple of weeks as we head into the month of horror, so viewer discretions are advised. Just a warning. We warn people every single year before the first show when things get weird. So yeah, here's your early alert system, and we will be including something very new for the first episode of the Tuesday night special to kick off this month of horror for this year. And it's something we're gonna keep under wraps until we hit the Tuesday night special. But I got a feeling a couple of you nursery rhyme fans out there are gonna love it. Or not. I don't know. I'm not a big reading the crowd guy from a keyboard and a giant oversized screen. And I would personally like to thank the bands who were there at the said Fall Festival on the Green, like for example the Joe Bellatti's Heart of Gold band, and by the way, the guy who played the guitar with those cool sunglasses, nice touch. Then besides them, you had on the family stage the Wallaby Tales, Miss Jolie, Polka Dot Pals, or Rob Albanese and the Polka Dot Pals, which, by the way, I still own the autographed picture from Rob Albanese I took with him about 3 years back. Trophy Band Orquesta, interesting and nice band name, by the way. And along with them, you had Shorty Long and the Jersey Horns, who played some very cool cover songs, including one Tina Turner's Rolling Down the River. And finally, Big Hicks, who was a part of this big event, which a lot of people would think, who would saw me sitting there listening to country music, like, what in the world are you listening to country music for? And I would just say, hey, music is music. I love music. And especially on a Sunday afternoon where it was so beautiful outside, fairly couple of clouds, little on the hot side, but the cool breeze and the cool music that went along with it was definitely worth it. And unfortunately, the fact that we were only able to stay for about an hour and a half, then another 30 minutes after we went driving around all over the place, yeah, this was definitely a magical event, and I got a feeling by next year, depending on how the town votes on this giant monstrosity of a roundabout and another high-rise development, will probably be the last time we see the strip mall development for this year's Fall Festival. It's going to be a big change in town by next year. I really do got a feeling it is. And if they want to build a giant oversized strip mall, there's a giant oversized empty canvas on the other side of Elm Street they can use to try to go and build it over there. But then again, they're trying to build it about as long as possible instead of, vertical instead of horizontal. Or is it horizontal instead of vertical? according to the maestro, what I said the second time was right. Right. Gotcha. But either way, this one of the fall festivals, I got a feeling, is going to be probably one of the most special ones and the last ones before the big change in town. And hopefully, and I'll say it again, hopefully by next year, we can be a part of the Fall Festival on the Green to provide you an episode of either the Indie Radio Arcade or Under the Radar, which we would hope to interview every single band to get off the stage and just come on down and say, yeah, I really did love that performance, but what I wish I could do is tune the guitar a little bit higher to do a couple of other cool songs. And then I would try to request certain songs for them to do. Like, for example, when Shorty Long was on the stage doing Temptation songs and everything else, it almost tempted me to ask them, hey, quick, do that song by the Rascals, Groovin', and, it will be perfect for this cool sunny afternoon. Yeah. But unfortunately, by the time I was going to request that song, we had to leave and then come back later, and by that time, they were off the stage. Maybe next year I'll request it. And in other news, or more or less, Phantasy Star Online Blueburst news. Yes, that's right, folks. Once again, Phantasy Star Online Blueburst news. And the news we have for you folks is, as of this past weekend, or more or less as of this past Friday, the Triforce event is officially in effect. And this would be the first time I'll be able to participate in this said event, since last year around this time, we were only able to participate in it for about a good 4 or 3.5 days and was unable to collect the cool items that were a part of this event. And for example, for those who are wondering what items you can capture during this event, here's a list right here. Maestro, could you pull it up? Alright, thank you. And the first item we have up besides the Master Sword is the Boomerang, Magic Hammer, Great Fairy Sword, Bug Catching Net, Power Glove, Stealth Sword, Bomb Chew, Sacred Bow, Fire Rod, which I still don't know what it is, Zelda Magazine, Centurion Arms, Centurion Luck, Centurion Power, Centurion Resist, Godric Ability, which is, I think, a troll item that has, negative effects for everything that you have if you want to have that sort of challenge under your belt. And of course, finally, last but not least, the Highland Shield. But wait! They added a brand new item to the mix for this year's Triforce event called the Ganondorf Shield, which, and I kid you not, what it is, folks, is a shield that has 90 to 155 defense, 50 evasive, 20 attack, 20 luck, 35 resistance to fire, 40 resistance to thunder, and 40 resistance to dark, along with a boost to Rabarda, and can be used by levels of 180. So you have to be pretty high up there on the scales to use this said shield, and in my opinion, I think this is just about or somewhere near the same equivalent of the Red Ring, which was considered by most, and still is, as one of the most powerful shields you can get in this game. I could be wrong, but I see a lot of people wearing them, and yeah, could be the next big thing in the world of shields. And as a little bit of an insider trader secret, and I know I've been saying this a lot, Usagi was the one who designed this said shield, but I was the one who was the brainchild who came up with the idea for the shield in the first place, even though I was just spitballing ideas and they went with it. So this is another one of those happy, proud papa moments I was able to have to see this thing come to life, and I may try to get this thing in the near future. Probably with the new character I decided to create with the help of Onar, better known as Tunlele on the circuits in the world of Phantasy Star Online. and actually told me to create a character either from an anime called Dr. Jekyll, not the actual name of the anime, I forgot the name of the anime completely, but I did see 3 episodes, and the fact that this guy had a cool hat, a cool suit that was completely black, and this weird looking tie along with the Carmen Sandiego hat he had on, I said there's no way I'll be able to pull that off. So the other name that he gave me was, I do believe, Dr. Curse, which I decided to go with, and the only color I could associate with a curse besides the color black and white was the classic colors of emerald and black. I don't know why, but for some strange reason I went right to the Wizard of Oz colors when I thought of the word curse, and it worked. And so far, the character's at level 68 or 69. Hopefully by the end of the week, amongst all the madness of what we're gonna do for the month of horror, that character will be at level 75, maybe 100 if I put my mind to it. But we'll have more developments for that for you guys, most likely by the next time we do a work in progress, which will be a mist of the second week of, I do believe, this month. Either that or the third week, because let's just say once I start going for the month of horror, we may be out of it in sorts. We'll just say that much, because things are going to get weird. That's your second warning. Things are going to get weird. And if you guys want to go ahead and check out the picture of any of the event items that will be involved for this year's Triforce event themed after the Legends of Zelda, you can head on over to the website only known as fantasystaronline.net under the forum section and look directly for the Ultimate Triforce event, and you can check out all the cool items that they have available for the event. And just to let you know, still gonna try to go for the Master Sword, even though we do have the J Sword in our possession. And maybe the hammer too, just to see if I can use it for a hunter so I can just bash the ground and see if it does one of those wave force attacks. According to the Maestro, it doesn't, but hey, I can hope. I can hope. And with that Phantasy Star Online news out of the way, folks, it is now time for us to go into another edition of the, I guess, work in progress arcade. We're still trying to figure out a name for it, but besides that, here's a couple of high scores from highscore.com. And the first high score that we have up, because the list keeps changing with all the high scores that comes in from the weekend, comes from the gamer Zilch Sr. with his high score of 11,110 in the classic Atari 2600 game of Space Invaders Cart Fry Double Shots. Nice! Next high score that we have up comes from Jess with his high score of 48,250 in the classic PC game or PC incarnate game of Super Mario Bros. 3. And a little small factoid for those who never watched Music Village before and this is one of your shows you go to watch, I actually skipped out on my prom to play this game. Ticked my teachers right off. But besides that, next high score that we have up once again comes from Jess with his high score of 36,400, a part of the arcade PC adaptation of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. And once again, Jess with another high score of 18,520, a part of the PC adaptation of Double Dragon. Another nice game. And once again, folks, Jess just cleaning up the arcade routes for this week with another high score of 7,510, a part of the arcade PC adaptation of Mike Tyson's Punch-Out! Under Glass Joe. Not bad. But then again, it's Glass Joe. If he had knocked out Tyson, that would have been impressive as well. And to actually make up for the other high scores he got for this week, Jess once again with his high score of 692,000, a part of the arcade game Thunder Heroes. Another game I played when I was a kid, but really didn't play it as much as I wanted to, cause it was my Uncle Denny's in Virginia, but I digress, cause the next high score that we have up comes from Retro Rob with his high score of 3,308, a part of the Atari 2600 game of Mousetrap. Then you have Dumple with his high score of 66,320, a part of the arcade game of Bang. And I think it was Bang and then Boom and then Shoot, but then again, that's what they have on the screen here, so we're just gonna move on to the next high score that once again comes from Dumple with his high score of 1,458,600, a part of the classic arcade game of Heavy Barrel. Not bad. Then you have Hyrion, and hopefully we said that name right, with his high score of 956,870, a part of the Game Boy game of P10. Never heard of it. Then you have Darwin9999 with his high score of 247,000 in the classic game of Candy Crush Saga, a part of the web version of the game. Next high score we have up after that comes from Frankie with his high score of 37 in the ZX Spectrum game of Demon's Lair. And for some strange reason, that opening trailer that I used to watch back when I was a kid with my sister for the Dragon's Lair popped into my head, and then the guy who was the star of the game getting hit in the face with a table when the announcer says, "As you enter the Dragon's Lair." Ooh. I don't know why I watched that over and over again, but it's stuck in my head for a funny moment whenever I need it. Anyway, besides that, folks, next high score we have up is Ed1475 with his high score of 13,083, a part of the Atari game of Gauntlet. And next high score we have up after that once again comes from Ed1475 with his high score of 42,525, a part of the ColecoVision game of Looping Skill 4. Nice! Next high score that we have up after that comes from Indie Radio Arcade, Indie Wall of Fame mainstay, JML 101 582 with his high score of 7,940, a part of the Play Choice 10 game of Mike Tyson's Punch-Out on Von Kaiser. Von Kaiser. I don't know why, but I like that name. Anyway, next high score we have up after that comes from Retro Rob with his high score of 1:22 seconds, .75 in the Ridge Racing game of, apparently according to the maestro, is Driving Emotion Type S, West Coast Arcade Division, under 3 laps. Not bad. And the next high score that we have up after that comes from Frankie with his high score of 114,210, a part of the Play It Pinball game of Special Lane, or according to the maestro, from the PS2 game of Play It Pinball Special Lane. Thanks for the correction, maestro. And Frankie with yet another high score from the video game of Extreme Pinball from the PSX, a part of Medieval Knights 3 balls, and it's 3 balls that he did the difficulty under, with his high score of 20,296,000. And according to the maestro, from the high score of the month, he is off by a mere 500 to 800. Nay, strike that. 900,000 from beating the high score of this month. And with that, folks, unfortunately, with the score of Awesome Ogre, wait a minute. According to the Maestro, we have one more high score for this month, and it comes from none other than Speedy 4759123 with his high score, and get this, folks, of 229,211,080 in the video game pinballing PlayStation game of Pinball Arcade Harley Davidson for the PlayStation 4. And with that, folks, to wrap up this month of sports, we have a new high score on the plane, which comes from none other than Speedy 4759123 with the high score that we just mentioned. So congratulations, Speedy, but unfortunately your reign will only last for another 24 hours, because after we leave the month of sports, we'll be resetting the high score for this upcoming weekend's edition of the Indie Radio Arcade, which ironically enough takes place the same weekend as the Hell in a Cell pay-per-view. And I got a feeling a lot of pain and brutality will be taking place during that pay-per-view. And on another side note, folks, the fact that all of this wrestling that's going to be taking place as of this week is going to be insane. Monday's going to be Monday Night Raw. Tuesday's going to be Impact on their new channel. Wednesday's going to be the debut of AEW Dynamite. Then you have on Thursday a rest period from wrestling, and then finally Friday, for the first time in well over a decade, SmackDown goes back to cable television with 3-letter names, and yeah, we'll feature Kofi Kingston going one-on-one against Brock Lesnar. And do I think that Kofi's gonna win? I hope. But in reality, I got a feeling they're going to let Brock hold on to the strap for a Seth Rollins-Brock Lesnar rematch by the time the Survivor Series rolls around. Because you all know it's not going to be a title defense match at the Survivor Series. It's brand versus brand. And probably one of the reasons why in the world they're getting rid of the wild card rule as of this upcoming draft that will take place most likely up with this SmackDown that's taking place this upcoming week. I thought it was Monday, but apparently the draft is going to take place on the 4th. I think. I could be wrong. And back to our regularly scheduled programming outside of wrestling, folks. If you guys want to check out any other cool high scores that are still flooding in from the Twitter page as we speak, you can head on over to the Twitter page of one man only known as @HighScore, or head on over to their website known as highscore.com to win cool prizes for your high scores. And like we say on all the shows that we do around here, folks, is a very, and I do mean very, fair trade. And the high score for another 24 hours for this month is from none other than Speedy 4759123 with his high score of 229,211,080 from the PlayStation 4 pinball game of Pinball Arcade Harley Davidson. And I got a feeling somebody is going to probably get higher than that high score by the time we reach the month of horror, most likely from a Frankenstein pinball machine. And that's my guess, folks. And if I'm right by the end of the month, Maestro, you owe me $50. Is that a bet? All right, shake on it. All right. And oh, before I forget, folks, and one very important thing, I keep forgetting the name of the host of the show for WDHA of anything, but a big thank you for doing a tribute to Eddie Money last week for your show by not only playing his greatest hits, but playing a live rendition of the song 2 Tickets to Paradise, which sound absolutely awesome. See, those are the rare things I get a chance to listen to while driving down these weary roads in the middle of the night. And the fact that I was able to hear that one song and was able to sing along with it without regret, Yeah, definitely something awesome. And for anybody out there who watches or is in the New Jersey area, make sure you listen into that show, Anything, because he plays a whole bunch of rare music, B-sides, and just the strangest out there music you wouldn't hear on a regular broadcast of WDHA for a full hour from 12 o'clock all the way until 1 to send you home on your night shift happy. So definitely head on over there, watch that, and you'll be able to hear a couple of very interesting songs, including one for Sting, which I do believe he's celebrating his birthday as of this week. And no, Maestro, not the wrestler, the musical artist who was a part of the group known as the Police. And speaking of Sting, I think I was able to build a very big house in The Sims for The Sims 2, and I think we did a video game story on it, and Maestro said we did, where I built this giant oversized hotel, which I think was about 10 or 12 floors big, cost me well over a good $5 to $10 million, and nobody was able to live in it, and I had to tear it down. Now, granted, looking back at it, I think I could actually save that building and upload it to the exchange page, but we never did it. And I regret that. I really do. A lot of people would have loved to live in that giant hotel building or turn it into a building. Turn it into a business of some type. It could have worked. It really could have worked. But unfortunately, due to my frustration of wasting about 6 months to almost a year on trying to build the thing and not wanting to see it anymore, I got rid of it. One of the biggest regrets I have in the world of The Sims. And the reason why we bring up The Sims right now, folks, because it's time once again for another lavish edition of the lifestyles of the digitally rich and famous. See? The king of segues is what I'm going to call myself in the future. And the first house that we have up comes from the creator DBNECZ? Yeah, that guy with his house known as the Snow Queen. And this house, which is about a good 2 bedrooms and 2.5 baths, if you're able to build it inside this very house, comes with a all-around swimming pool-like house. And what do I mean by that, folks? Well, the entire circumference of the house is surrounded by a swimming pool, with the exception of the front of the house itself, which looks like a house I got a feeling that you would be able to get in the video game Scarface, or in the classic video game of Grand Theft Auto Vice City. You know, really wish you could actually build upon the houses in Vice City in that game, but that's a story for an entirely different day, and you can build upon this house further, folks, add more floors going upward, but if you want to add a driveway or garage, you may have to get rid of a couple of sections of the swimming pool, but don't worry, there is a jacuzzi in the back, just in case you want a little bit more swimming experience for this house. And as a bit of a warning for you fans out there who wants to live here, learn how to swim and learn how to swim quick, because your Sims can drown in this house. So be careful. And the next house to continue this, I guess, tropical themed version of the lifestyles of the digitally rich and famous that we have, comes from the creator Dragon Queen 11, nice name by the way, with their house, Tropical Treat. And this house is a 2-bedroom, 1-bathroom, island retreat sort of home that is a perfect vacation home to get away from it all, that is actually on stilts. And I think this would be, what, the 5th or 4th stilt house we were able to mention for this edition of the show. Maestro, how many was it? Oh, it was 5. This will be the 5th, folks. And the only bit of advice I have for you fans out there who wants to own this house and not have the problems of a driveway since it's on uneven land, I recommend you get one of those bike stands and bike to wherever you have to go, or if you have the Supernatural pack, use a broom. Yes, that's right, folks, you can go full Witch Hazel and use a broom to get wherever you need to go with certain expansion packs, so if you don't want that hassle, go with that. Neither that or use the transporter that they have that you can unlock with enough moodlet points. Yeah, you have options. That's all I'm trying to say. And the next house that we have up comes from the creator Riscar74 with his house of Morada de Selvia. Or Morada de Selva? See, I'm still trying to learn a bit of Spanish by watching a couple of late night soap operas every Saturday. So yeah, we're a little bit off, but either way, still pretty close. And this house, folks, which is a house that reminds me of something right out of Scarface once again, which is a 2-bedroom, nay, strike that, 4-bedroom, 2-bathroom house, is a very beautiful island house if you want a little taste of Little Havana with one of your homes. And if you don't like zombie attacks or anything trying to come after you, don't worry, with this house you are covered because it's surrounded completely by a fence and even a gate in the front to keep any form of supernatural creatures away if you have the Supernatural pack. And on top of that, folks, it comes equipped with a swimming pool as well. Nice! And the only tip of advice I have for you guys and gals out there, if you want to build any form of driveway, you may have to move the fence up just a little bit and move the palm trees behind the fence so you can get the fence in there without ruining the integrity of this said beautiful home, which strangely enough is in the shape of an H, but either way, still a cool house. So nice job, Riscar74. And the next house, which takes the metaphor, if you live in a glass house, don't throw stones, to the fullest, comes from the creator Talon Sportage, or Sportage? You know what, we'll go with the second one, with his house, the House of Windows. Now, for some strange reason, when I announced this house, the song Pictures at an Exhibition is ringing in my head currently while this said house is around. And the fact that this house is a 3-bedroom, 4-bath, or according to what the maestro said, about a good 4 bedrooms, actually 7 bedrooms and 3 baths, is a very impressive house that lives on a bit of a slope of a mountain, and the fact that he was able to pull this off without going insane of uneven land like I would is a very, very impressive house. And for anybody who's wondering out there why in the world they call this House of Windows, well, according to the maestro's count, this house has about, just about well over 30 windows covering this entire house. And that's not even counting the backyard where the windows are in the back too. So from what we can see, just about 30 to 40 windows in this entire house. So if you're a vampire of any type and want to live in this house, make sure you have sunscreen or a casket or an underground getaway, which you can build in this said house to improve upon it, because you're gonna need it. You're definitely gonna need it. And also, you may need a driveway to go along with this house as well, and to build it on an uneven land, like I said before, may be a challenge, but it is doable. So if you decide to do that as well, you can. And the only other bit of warning we have for you fans out there who also want to live in this house and have people in the house with the moodlet that doesn't like the sunlight, yeah, you may want to get some curtains if possible. Just a warning, just a heads up. Still a cool house though. And the last but not least house that we have up for this week comes from the creator Zima Macaron, are Zima Cameron 2013, and sorry we got your name wrong on the first attempt, with their house known as Creek. And this house, which is a house that can house well over 8 people in this said house, known as a 2-bedroom, or not even a 2-bedroom, a 4-bedroom, 3.5 bathroom type house that not only comes with a long driveway, but a simple design if you look to live a simple life in this said house. And the reason why we say it's a simple design, folks, because it's a 1-level house that can house a lot of people, and alongside with it comes with a mailbox, cool tree in the front, big gate to keep people and zombies out just in case they try to intrude on your property, and also comes with enough space to build upon if you decide to add a 2nd, 3rd, or even 4th floor for this said home. Which is always a bonus. Room to improve? Thumbs up in my book. And if you guys want to check out any other crazy and zany houses that are currently coming through the tubes as we speak, a part of this parade of homes we have for this said show, you can head on over to the website only known as thesims3.com, on over to their exchange page and check out a whole bunch of beautiful houses of people having 8-bit caviar wishes and digital champagne dreams. And I got it right once for this week, Maestro, so you can stop laughing over there in the corner. And oh, while we're on the subject, have you found a harpsichord player for next week's show? Or in the next 2 weeks for a harpsichord player so we can truly add some elegance to this? No? Well, keep searching. I mean, we're going to definitely need it by next week because for those who don't know, next week or when the next time we're on, we'll be celebrating well over 20 episodes for this show. Man, it feels like we did this just yesterday. And the fact that we're fastly approaching the 1-year anniversary of this show, along with the 5-year anniversary of Under the Radar, and the rest of the anniversary shows to come as of next year, is insane. This year is really starting to go by fast, folks, so cherish every single cool moment or what have you while they last. And I think that's the bit of the Jerry Springer final talk rom-com sort of moral of the story for this show for this week. Enjoy it while it lasts, because you never know when it'll come to an end. And right on cue, Maestro being rude, ringing the bell informing us at home, folks, that it's just about that time for us to wrap things up and head on out of here so we can do Under the Radar and bring some madness to your Monday afternoon, morning, night, or whatever sort of time you have in your part of the world. So with that said, folks, if you guys miss anything for this random live out of nowhere like a diamond cutter or an RKO sort of podcast broadcast, you can check it out again one more time, all the time, on our SoundCloud, Facebook, and even Tumblr pages, all named the same, only known as Music Village Radio under the hashtag A Work in Progress 19. And I got a feeling that's how many fears and shakeups we're gonna have as of next month with all the crazy things we have planned, including something that we actually written down as a plan we were supposed to do for last year's Tale of Terror. So yeah, something to look forward to. And if you guys want to figure out what other crazy and zany things that we still got prepared for tomorrow's last day of this sports month, heading directly into the month of horror, like some evil scientists probably plotting to create some giant oversized monster just to scare the living bejesus out of people or play God, you can go ahead and check it out on our Twitter/YouTube page, which is both named the same, only known as the 00 Agent 0012. And as a bit of a heads up for you fans out there, we will be uploading this week's episode of A Work in Progress to YouTube, but I got a feeling it won't upload until around, tomorrow morning? With how long this show is gonna be? Yeah, it's gonna probably take until tomorrow morning for it to upload, so expect it by the morning. Like, just around the time when you eat breakfast is when this will be out. So, don't worry, you YouTube fans out there who are starting to grow out there, which, by the way, I want to say thank you to you guys out there for heading over to the YouTube page and showing all the shows, all that beautiful love you have in your hearts for all the stuff that I've done over there, especially with the video game stories, because I do believe this would be a new territory for me, mentioning video game stories on YouTube. Hopefully we can have footage to go alongside with it and a play-by-play explaining to you guys the crazy moments that we do in video games along with our stories, which may happen in the future. Don't quote us on it. It may happen. But back to this outro, folks, before we go a little bit off the rails, we would like to thank you, the fans out there, for listening in to another crazy, random as all hell edition of A Work in Progress. And along with them, we would like to thank you, the musical artists out there, for delivering that musical goodness like you always do. And keep up the great work, guys. And here's hoping we get a chance to see you next year for the Fall Festival on the Green, no matter how crazy this town will look in the next 24 months. Not 24 months, that's 2 years. Within the next 12 months. What do I think we're on? Saturn? Takes 2 years to go around the sun? And I might be wrong on that too. So either way, folks, for you musical artists out there, keep up the great work. Here's hoping we see you at the festival next year or the year after, because our whole calendar inside our brains is messed up in the middle of the night during our think tank sessions. And we would also like to thank our musical guest for tonight, none other than Tekno AXE with his song, Street Walk Manifesto, that was featured during the intro and for the outro, and is the official theme for A Work in Progress. And as always, Tekno AXE, keep up the great work, and once again, we still hope you can do a live version of this song once we hit 1 year for this show. Maybe when we hit 2 years. Who knows? We'll give you a call in the future. And finally, last but not least, we would like to thank you, the independent gamers out there, for delivering all those sweet, sweet homes and high scores that we had a chance to mention during this week's edition of A Work in Progress. And hopefully by the time we hit our 20th episode, we can mention some more homes, some more high scores, and even a couple of screenshots that Maestro completely forgot to pull up on the screen because I didn't remind him. That was my bad. It's my bad. And I guess with everybody thanked, folks, you guys out there know how we go out. I'm DJ Smokey, flanked alongside by the Maestro, saying, when there's smoke, there's fire, and we'll see you guys next time during a spooky month filled with more Scooby-Doo references than you can possibly imagine for another random, horrifying edition of A Work in Progress. But until then, folks, we'll see you guys tomorrow for Under the Radar, and good night, everybody.
Walk down the street, saying hello to the people I meet, and I'm killing my love underneath the sun, triggering down like the smoking gun. Yeah, I ain't got no plans, rusty voice and an empty gas can. My car's broken down a mile behind, and I've got my life set on rewind, baby. I ain't got no plans, just a rusty voice and an empty gas can. My car's broken down a mile behind, and I've got my life set on rewind, baby. Walk down the street, saying hello to the people I meet, and I'm killing my love underneath the sun, triggering down like the smoking gun. Yeah, I ain't got no plans, just a rusty voice and an empty gas can. My car's broken down a mile behind, and I've got my life set on rewind, baby. I ain't got no plans, just a rusty voice and an empty gas can. My car's broken down a mile behind, and I've got my life set on rewind, baby. Da